So the big question is this: how do you lose all the weight that you want and actually keep it off for the rest of your life, while trying to make sense of all the noise that comes from the weight loss industry? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers.
G'day guys, and welcome to the next episode of the Weight Loss Secrets podcast. My name's Baron Grant and I'm wrapped to be with you for another day, another tip, another idea, some sort of information that's going to help you make changes in your life so that you can lose all the weight you want and keep it off for good, forever, never to put it back on. Now, there's no magic bullet for that. There's the magic pill that's called consistency, right? We have to eat moderately our whole lives. We can't ever just go and shovel food into our mouths after we lose the weight, because of course it will come back on. There's no magic bullet. That's why it's important to make changes that are sustainable in the long term. That's what this podcast is all about, giving you tips to do that. So today I want to talk about the amount of food that we eat. So I think one of the biggest things I hear all the time when I talk to people about eating healthy is lots of people are concerned that they're not going to be able to eat lots of food, that they're going to have to live this restricted life of eating tiny amounts of food. You hear all these diets and they're like, well, I can have 100 grams of protein and I can have 20 grams of carbohydrates and I can have 30 grams of this and 20 grams of that and I can have 4 almonds. Well, I don't reckon that's a good way to live, frankly, because I think it's too restrictive. And I remember one time, actually, while I think of it, I remember one time a lady on my program, she actually called me up on the phone. She said, Baron, how much dressing can I have on top of this salad? And I said, just put some dressing on. No, I need to know a measurement. And I'm like, just sprinkle some on top, just have it for taste. She's like, no, Baron, I need to know a mil measurement. And I said, I'm not going to give you that because I don't want you to live like that. Eating tiny amounts of food and having tiny amounts of, I can have, a teaspoon of this on top, or it's craziness, because that's not a healthy way to live long term mentally. You'll end up throwing the baby out with the bathwater and being so frustrated. If you have to eat tiny portions and you don't feel full and you feel like you're being totally restricted and you can't have anything and you have tiny meals, I just don't think that's sustainable at all. But what I want to talk to you about today is the fact that when you eat healthy, it doesn't mean you have to eat less. So eat healthy, not less. That's the message for today. Because if you eat the right foods, you can eat heaps of food. Why is Australia overweight so much? Why is there 70% of Australia that is overweight? 70%. I mention this all the time because it's insanity that almost 3/4 of Australia is not healthy. It's craziness, right? And why? Because we eat way too much carbs and sugar. We eat way too much food that is wrong, generally. But if we eat healthy, we can eat loads of food. So don't have that as a fear. If you're ready to make change, you can probably end up eating more food than what you ate before. I've had so many people throughout the course of this program when I've been working with people that they have eaten way more food. I remember one lady in particular. She used to drink bucket loads of tea and would only eat 1 meal a day in the evening. And she said to me, Baron, I can't eat any more food. I said, you need to eat breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks. And she's like, nah, I can't do it. I'm too terrified. I'm terrified that I'm terrified of food. If I eat food, I'm going to gain weight. I can't do it. And I'm like, no, what you're doing is not helpful. And I explained some reasons why. Anyway, she started eating 3 meals a day, a couple of snacks, the right food. That's really important, the right food. And she lost 14 kilos in 9 weeks because she started eating way more frequently and eating lots of food. But it's got to be the right food. So, if you're having a plate and you're having 100 grams of meat or whatever that might be, and you might have 20 or 30 grams of this and 20 or 30 grams of that and 50 grams of that and 3 nuts. I just don't think that's a good way to live at all. So we've got to expand it. We've got to eat bigger portions. And if we eat bigger portions, I think we'll be happier. But to do that, it's got to be the right type of stuff. So foods that are high in fats, foods that are high in carbohydrates, foods that are high in sugar, they're doing you no favors. And I know a lot of programs talk about eating lots of high-fat foods. The problem is they're too high in calories, and so you end up getting stuck on your weight. You've got to reduce overall calories as well as carbohydrates and sugar. So when we do that, then our body is in a place where it's using our fat stores more frequently and we're losing more weight. So what's the right food? I've mentioned this on previous videos, but I'll just rehash it a little bit. Protein, veggies, and the right fruit. Fruit's not your best friend because it contains a fair bit of sugar. So getting those low sugar fruits in is really important. Low calorie veggies and higher protein, things like chicken, fish, eggs, and turkey. That's the best. It's the best sort of stuff. But if you eat that stuff, you can eat large portions. I don't care how big your portion is, frankly, if you're eating that stuff. But if you're eating a piece of steak that will contain double the amount of calories for the same amount of protein, then you have to restrict your portions because you're eating foods that are very dense in calories. Nuts, very dense in calories. Avocado, very dense in calories. Chickpea, very dense in calories. Beans, very dense in calories. The list goes on and on and on. But when you eat that stuff that's dense in calories, that is why you have to have restricted food. Where if you eat the right food for weight loss, then you can have big portions. So I encourage people that I work with always to eat large portions of food because then you feel satisfied, you feel full, and it's more enjoyable than fiddling around on a plate, eating 3 or 4 things and then feeling really hungry immediately after. Because I don't think that's a really comfortable way to live. And you don't, the relevance of having smaller portions is because it's the wrong food. If you have to have tiny portions of stuff, it's not great food for weight loss. So later on, when I'm working with people, I always get them to eat potatoes and pumpkin. That comes in later on. But that stuff is, you have to restrict those portions because they're high in carbohydrates and they're high in calories. So they're not great for you to eat while you're trying to lose weight. So I say, why don't you just get all the good food that's really good for weight loss as opposed to calorie dense food that is healthy. It's still healthy, but it's not going to be helpful for you when you're trying to lose weight. So you want to find that high protein stuff, you want to find that low calorie stuff, you want to find the low carbohydrate stuff, and don't go nuts on fats. It doesn't have to all be deliberately low fat, but you just want to eat, you don't want to eat bucket loads of cheese and bucket loads of cream and bucket loads of this sort of stuff that you don't need to. Just have smaller amounts of that sort of stuff. That allows you to be able to lose weight consistently week on week. And you can have large portions. That's the best bit. You can eat loads of food. So if you're somebody, just a short message today, but if you're somebody who wants to eat lots of food on your weight loss journey, you absolutely can. Frequently, I'll be talking to people. I remember one guy, he sent me a photo and he goes, Baron, I'm starving. And then I said, send me a photo of your food. And he sends me a photo. I'm like, what is that? Like, you've got some lettuce and a little bit of tomato. Yeah, I thought I couldn't eat much. I'm like, bro, fill your bowl with anything from that list that I gave you. Big, as much as you want. Don't worry about it. Eat as much as you want. That is, I think, a much healthier way to eat because you end up getting so much nutrition into your body. Your body's not, going to feel empty. Your body's not going to feel tired and lethargic because you're getting heaps of good nutrition in. If you have to weigh and measure everything, if you have to eat tiny portions, I don't think it's a healthy way or a sustainable way to eat ever. And so if you want a bit more info on that, head to ditchingthediet.com. You can book a call and we can have a chat on the phone and I can help you on that journey as well to be able to show you the types of food that are going to help you to be able to eat large portions and still be able to lose weight without counting the calories, without weighing and measuring everything. Remember, eat healthy, don't eat less. I'll chat with you tomorrow.